Torque family members doing today? So, welcome to another episode of Talk the Torque. I'm your host, Hailey Philander, and today I am pleased to introduce the Product Communications Specialist from BMW Group South Africa, Hailey Philander. As a product communication specialist, effective, clear communication is key, which is something that Hailey has mastered indeed. She is incredibly articulate, and really I've experienced that right now with her. Very articulate, very pedantic, and she also knows exactly when to say what. Her ability to manage her work life and achieve her goals in the workplace is admirable. Social media is a very difficult area of communication to navigate, but not for Hailey. She is a creative individual that uses her talents to further the company's popularity. I must also add that Hailey is a nominee for the Motoring Woman of the Year Awards, which is powered by MSC, a division of Nedbank. She is now a semi-finalist. There were over 4,000 nominees this year, and we're very, very proud to have her in studio with us. There's not many BMW employees that have been nominated, and we are definitely including the brand in our movement. So it's actually few and far between that we have the brand sitting with us. So let's give a warm welcome to Hailey, and as always, this interview is proudly brought to you by Sariti Solutions. Hello, Hailey.
Hi Desh.
Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Now listen, you are a dedicated person, as I said in my introduction, because this is literally, you're on leave, right?
I am technically on leave, but I still wanted to come and spend some time with you today. Support the cause.
Thank you so much, because I think that's dedication and that is conviction in terms of everything that we're doing to uplift, educate and empower women in the motoring trade. And it's not often that I have a BMW representative here, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
So let's talk about your journey in motoring South Africa. As I said, you were nominated, someone recognized your contribution to the trade. So let's talk about where this all began.
Okay, so I started almost 2 decades ago in the industry. I actually started as a journalist at Car Magazine. And I was in automotive media for about 12 years. And then I moved to a PR agency where I worked on mainly automotive brands before joining BMW Group South Africa about 4 years now. It was 4 years on the 1st of April.
So this is for me, okay? I just want to find out from you. Motoring journalism. Were you a motoring journalist?
Yes.
Okay, and so did you do reviews? Now that is few and far between. Tell me about your experience. This is exciting. I've never interviewed a motoring journalist. So tell me more about that experience for you.
Yeah.
And why did you leave?
I haven't really left. I decided that I wanted to explore other parts of the business, because as you know, the motoring industry is varied. There's actually lots of little bits and pieces that form together to form this massive industry that we're part of. So I wanted to be exposed to as many parts of the industry as possible. So I kind of came into automotive journalism by accident, I would say. It's not something that as a young girl growing up in Cape Town, I imagined would be a job. You don't think that riding about cars that you've always had a passion for could become your job. So I applied for a job, but I saw it was a junior job at the time, and I got the job, and that was the end of that. So so I was with a couple of motoring titles for a while as a specialist automotive motoring writer. I have a very strong passion still for the industry, so global industry, local industry, and of course the products. So that's where my passion lies. And then, as I said, made the decision to give up test cars and move away from automotive journalism as such. But yeah, I mean, I still had touch points when I was with agency because it had a very strong, or still has a very strong car or automotive focus. And then, as I said, yeah, eventually I've ended up at BMW Group South Africa now.
Well, you made a great choice. It's a beautiful brand to represent. So tell us more about this brand.
So BMW Group South Africa, 3 brands that we represent locally. So then there's the BMW brand, and then also Mini brand, which is quite the iconic urban brand. And then we also have BMW Motorrad, which is our motorcycles.
Right. So Hailey, what do you enjoy most about your role?
I enjoy most interacting with the products. I'm a petrol head by nature, so there's petrol flowing through my veins. So definitely getting up close to the products, getting to understand a bit more about the products. I'm especially passionate about electromobility because that's basically where a lot of brands are going towards. So our I models, we're getting more and more I models in this country. It's really exciting for me. And also I am, as a former journalist, I still have a very strong affection for that part of the business. So for me also, I just really want to see that our journalists are well taken care of. So those are some of the things that I really enjoy about my job, getting that interaction.
Okay, and I'm sure that you've relocated from Cape Town to Johannesburg, and it must have been quite challenging in terms of your personal life and then balancing work, and we are still in a very male-dominated industry, but there must have been some sort of inspiration, someone that inspired you through this journey. Is there many people, just one person? You want to talk about them?
Yeah, I think for me, I wouldn't say that there was one person in particular. I've always been quite self-motivated. And for me also, moving from Cape Town wasn't a big deal because actually I don't really like Cape Town that much. So, sorry.
I love Cape Town.
It's okay. It's good for holidays. But I think for me, an inspiration, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise if I say this, the biggest inspiration in my life just generally is my mum, because she's such a strong person, a single parent. Raising me was not really, I think, very strong-minded, very independent.
Very bubbly, very out there.
So I think for her to try to contain me and then carry me along, so I have a lot of admiration for her, just as a woman, but more as a parent to me. I would say probably my biggest inspiration and the person that I still work every day to try to make as proud as I can.
Wow, I meet so many different personalities here, and I must say, I think we have very similar personality, like literally just a go-getter. You are a go-getter and you're very bubbly, and I don't think we can work together very closely. There's gonna be a personality clash there.
I think we'll be fine.
Okay, then we'll work together. But I know that I've made plenty of mistakes, things that I would not have done in terms of work, and I would have done something differently had I had a mentor to help me and guide me, because like I said earlier on, journalists in this industry, few and far between. Is there anything that you would have done differently for our upcoming journalists?
No, I agree. I do feel that a lot of what I've had to do in the industry has been self-steer, because there haven't really been that many examples to follow. I mean, even when I joined, there were very, very few female journalists, even fewer of color. So, so you always feel as though you're fighting against the grain. I think for myself, mainly, I'm not someone who necessarily looks at situations with regret. I always think of anything as a learning episode. But one thing that probably would have done a little different is not being as, I want to say patient. But often I do tend to evaluate a situation first and not just go forth. I don't know if it would have changed my trajectory within the industry, but sometimes I feel just as a female I could have been a bit more aggressive, but that's also not entirely my nature. So it's a little bit of a balance. But I think for where I am and for where I've come from, as I said, I never imagined or dreamed of being in an industry such as this one. And then for being in it for as long as I have been, I think for me in itself, I think that's a testament.
Hailey, what do you think needs to change in terms of women feeling more comfortable and more, productive and just more confident in the motoring trade?
Yeah, I think about that one quite often because it's one of my, I want to say, challenges, is even from the media perspective. I always feel that there are not enough women representation, and I feel that it's important because women do bring a particular nuance, have a different way of looking at subject matter. So it's good to have that kind of varied opinion on many things. So I feel that, but obviously I also see that being as male dominated as the industry is, that's initially, I think, if you're not strong and not just decide to just, I want to say bugger it, but just chuck everything at it. If you don't have that kind of nature, it's you're going to meet resistance all the time. But I think there's definitely a place for women, and that's one of my things as well. We need to empower, whichever way you can. Just even if it means that you have to mentor, if it means that you need to just show someone guidance, do what you can just to create a groundswell, because we're missing some very key voices, and also a lot of key voices from my side as well, I find, have withdrawn from the industry just because it is so tough.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for validating. Thank you very much. So, Hailey, you have been nominated for the Motoring Woman of the Year Awards, which is powered by MFC, a division of Nedbank, and you accepted your nomination. Thank you for that, because this is a platform where the semi-finalists for these awards can actually use their voice to empower other women in the motoring trade, and even those that actually wants to join the trade. So how do you feel about this nomination?
I'm very honored, thank you, and thanks for the nomination as well. Again, as someone who's been in the industry for so long, you think you just work without recognition, because there's always, our job is never done. There's always something that we can do to help to transform, to bring fresh eyes into our industry, as varied as it is. So whatever little bit I can do to help forward the cause, I'm more than happy to do that. I'm too honored for the nomination. Thank you
so much, and I hope that your group and your brand, and I think there's just a few BMW, like I said, ladies that have made it to the top 300. I hope they will all get behind you and vote and support you on this. It's really, really just such a wonderful movement to be a part of. So what advice can you give to all the young girls? I mean, even if we're speaking to just one young woman, and as you said, women of color, it's few and far between in our industry, and they're going to see you and want to emulate you and want to be the next Hailey Philander. So what advice can you give to them for those that want to join our trade?
The only thing I would say, probably the biggest thing, is be resilient. You're always going to be a person who stands out. You're going to be someone who stands out in the room, stands out in the industry. Make sure that by you standing out, you also count. So you need to have an impact. Don't listen to no. Always listen to your own voice and go for it. That's all I can say. Just if you have the passion, if you have the drive, let it push you forward, let it motivate you, go for it. Well,
you are such an inspiration. You really are. You came in here like really this hurricane of orange. Of orange. But also so much of energy, and we need that. We need you actually do portray that resilience, that tenacity. I've just met you and I feel like there's so much of energy here, and maybe because we're both journalists, few and far between in the industry, but thank you so much. Thank you for joining us. Is there anything you'd like to add?
No, thank you very much for having me again. This has been a lovely experience. And to everybody who is a filler nominee in the awards, all the best to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Hailey. And thank you for watching today's episode of Talk the Talk. May the sun shine upon the road you were destined to take. No pun intended, by the way. But feel free to click that like button, comment your thoughts, and share our content with your friends, your family, and anyone you think would enjoy Talk the Talk content. The Motoring Woman of the Year Awards, powered by MFC and Evo by Nedbank, and the Talk the Talk Studios, powered by Sariti Solutions, are non-profit companies that aim to recognize and celebrate the women of motoring South Africa, women just like Hailey Philander. We are not just telling stories, we are changing lives. Together, we aim to empower and uplift the women of our trade. For those of you that are searching for your new ride, please visit www.otto.evo.africa. We have thousands of vehicles on sale for you to choose from, and we only advertise on behalf of reliable and trustworthy MFC accredited dealerships. This car listing portal is incredibly user friendly, and you can also find vehicle reviews as well as car maintenance tips and advice, all courtesy of Talk the Talk Studios. So ladies, to dream is truly the experience and joys of life. Everyone has some form of ambition to achieve something they truly desire at some point in their life. A life without any dreams would be dreadfully boring, which is why we should all dare to dream and be brave enough to follow those dreams. And I think this is such an important topic that I'm talking about, because I think Hailey Philander is a dreamer. She has conquered, even as a journalist, and I'm speaking from experience, it's not an easy industry to be in. We did not choose to be journalists in motoring South Africa. It happened to us, but we made it work. She made it work. She's representing such a beautiful brand, and she is she's literally conquering and triumphing, and I'm so proud to be sitting next to her. Encourage others to dream with you and form a destiny of their own, no matter how hard it may seem. Langston Hughes once proclaimed that we should hold fast to dreams, for if dreams die, life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, the question should never be who's going to let me. It should always be who's going to stop me.